The reappointment of the CARICOM Secretary General, Dr. Carla Barnett, is reported to have dominated the retreat, with the leaders of Trinidad and Tobago and Jamaica submitting letters to their colleagues. They are both questioning the procedure adopted by CARICOM when they met in St. Kitts and Nevis in February in agreeing to another 5-year term for Barnett. In a 22-page letter, Trinidad and Tobago's Prime Minister, Kamala Persad-Bissessar, said that the matter should be sent to the Caribbean Court of Justice, the CCJ, for an opinion, and in the interim suggested that Barnett be employed on a month-to-month basis until the decision of the CCJ is given. Prime Minister Persad-Bissessar, who has publicly stated in the past that she would not recognize the incumbent Secretary General after her first term expires in August, wrote in her letter that the position of Port of Spain is not intended to create division within CARICOM. As far as she is concerned, it is to preserve the constitutional order upon which the legitimacy and credibility of CARICOM ultimately depends. For his part, Prime Minister Andrew Holness, in his letter, has indicated that his country is not seeking to overturn the decision of the regional leaders, but he remains concerned that the approach taken has neither resolved the matter nor promoted the spirit and goals of the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas. In his letter, Prime Minister Holness wrote that Kingston's position reiterates one taken on May 8th. He is reiterating that Jamaica is not by this letter seeking to overturn the decision taken in February 2026 to appoint the Belizean economist to the top post. Holness said that as a matter of principle, the fact that one CARICOM member state has formally and consistently expressed opposition to a matter on procedural and other grounds, and the fact that the issue has since become one of public controversy, should be of grave concern to everyone and should not be disregarded. The Secretary General's saga aside, the leaders met on Monday with the regional private sector grouping to discuss improving trade, not only within the 15-member grouping, but further afield. Following the deliberations, Dr. Patrick Eintwine, the Chief Executive Officer and Technical Director of the CARICOM Private Sector Organization Secretariat, provided details on the meeting.
Well, I think the heads and the people of the community recognize that this issue of affordability, that's a global issue, having regard to all of the various influences we see reflecting on their plates, in their sectors, in their businesses, and in the macroeconomics in terms of inflation rates and what's happening with the trade balances in many countries, is in fact the issue of the moment. And so the private sector breakfast dealt with affordability and how we actually meet the challenge of affordability in a number of ways. The first way we looked at is how we do that by actually sourcing more efficiently, what we call import diversification. And this comes on the back of recognizing that although we've done a lot of work in exporting and export diversification to other markets and different products, we've not put the same economic research and other energies into looking at how we look at sources of diversification on the import side for goods from various countries, from various sources, and that was really the first component. The second component was how do we ensure that we do no further harm in terms of importing cost influences that would make it more difficult for us to meet these challenges going forward. And in this regard, we had some discussions around the International Maritime Organization's net zero framework, which is proposed to cut greenhouse gas emissions from the maritime sector in deliberate ways by 2030 and then again by 2040, ultimately to reducing it to near zero by 2050. What we've indicated to heads is that the implications of this for the private sector, particularly for the countries that are poorly served or serviced by the feeder maritime services, is really not benign. And so we explained that we needed to look at what the price, cost, and other implications were, and other implications mean the sustainability of these services into these countries that are already thinly serviced, some of them by 1 and 2 feeder lines. And then the discussions around that led us to look at what else can be done. And we looked also at the issue of intra-regional sourcing in the discussion session. And this is something that builds on the commitments that heads give.
Peter Richards reporting for CCN TV6 News from St. Lucia.